It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who, at the best, knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
I feel like we pull this event off and this tour off, like we make it look seamless, but that's because of the crew, the team we have. There is so much, all the pre-planning, pre-tour content, the thinking about every problem that might happen and having a, plan A, B, and C solution for every possibility, and coordinating with sponsors and planning our route. Just like every big project, right? You get these curveballs thrown at you. You don't know how your team's gonna react until you get into hardship. You don't know who's gonna dig deep, figure things out, problem solve, come to the table with solutions instead of, complaining about it. Or when you have teams that can do that, like, so powerful. You have to be resourceful, adaptable. You gotta just understand that you have a plan, because you can't go into things without a plan. But you also have to have this mentality that life's gonna throw you curveballs. You're gonna have challenges that you never even expected. And you gotta be there on point, ready to process and deal with them. First week, big cold snap, everything's froze up, it's 35 below, first school's canceled, a bunch of kids come in anyways, getting the team to find their groove and find their sweet spot and how our energy really needs to be when we put an event on. The second school in Idaho we did, they couldn't even get students to campus. There was too much snow. Somehow we made it there though. Couldn't even get to Oregon. I-84 was shut down. Coming up over the pass through Nevada, the pass was shut down one way, but not the other. We had people already scheduled to fly in and out. And the trophies we built, in my mind, I'm like, I want these trophies to be bigger and better and more impactful and bring more resources to the teacher. And it's like 3 weeks before we left, I'm like, hey, these are the trophies I want to build. And I thought the team was going to kill me. They're like, that's massive. You couldn't have told us about this 4 months ago. And I'm like, well, but they just came together and we got it done. Built these super dope trophies. There's so much. It's hard to really communicate to you what goes into this. The voting, all the teachers that are hustling, putting their votes in, and all the students that are talking to their buddies and they're putting their votes in, and all the votes come into this big screen where we can see the dots and it's like a heat map. And the tech behind that, just to make all that work, knowing where we're going to be in the scheduling and getting all that information to the team. We did 4 shows. We did 4 schools back to back every week. We had Friday and Saturday and Sunday were kind of our off time, but you're not really off. There's no real time to decompress. When that team rolls out, they get to a school, they have in a sense, they're so focused on the last one, getting them the right information at the right time. They roll out there, boom, here's the information, here's where we are, here's who we're talking to, here's what we estimate the crowd size to be. There's so many moving parts and pieces, communicating to the sponsors and talking to them and explaining to them what we're doing and how it all ties together, and understanding and discovering that their mission is so aligned with ours. And it's a Herculean undertaking, and we pulled it off from the outside, right? You look at Blue Collar Tour, it looks like it was flawless, it's smooth. And it was powerful. But that's because of the team that we brought on, and that involves the sponsors, the employees, the staff, the bus company. It's everybody. It's all rolled up into one package. It blows my mind to think of how smooth that went from start to finish. Really, at the end of the day, when I kind of stand back and go, what is everybody worried about? We're worried about the future of this nation. And that's why we have such a high level of urgency, why we got to do it right, why we got to bring that super positive energy, and why this thing has to go off without a hitch. Because the world that we are going to live in the next 40, 50 years, our society's in the balance. And if we do this right, we have an opportunity to make our future just look so different. We perform. Nobody cares how you start. They just care how you finish. I feel like that hardship in the beginning really set us up. That mentality really set us up for the entire rest of the tour, because we didn't have really bad weather after that. I mean, we had other challenges, don't get me wrong, but because we were already the whole team was already in this mindset of just figure it out as they happen. It was so smooth, crushed it. It was awesome. Not every one of these shows is the same. There's different levels of engagement and different levels of energy. Our team, we get really good at like perceiving what the driving force was to bring us there. Some of the places, the teacher was like super fired up on us and the students were just kind of like, like their energy was low. He was excited, but he didn't convey that energy into the students, right? And we totally see that when we get there. And the flip side, when the students are super jacked, fired up on us, but the teacher isn't really, like, they need to modify their mindset. If they're a new teacher, or maybe they don't understand, or they're not totally sold on the value of blue collar, I feel like that's how that works. Our ideal show is when both teacher, administrators, parents are fired up. They understand the value of blue collar and what our message is, and the students are excited to see us and they're fired up and they want the resources. Both parties want the resources that we're bringing, and we bring a high level of energy. We bring all these tools and resources to the entire system, and that's the best, most ideal outcome, is when both parties are just fired up. Like, them are the best shows to go to. We get to Livermore, California. Purpose Built is the company that had agreed to do this meet and greet with us. Purpose Built, it's a company, if you don't know about them, they make all this blue collar gear. And there's people that just come from all over the place. There was a couple people that traveled 8 hours to come to this meet and greet, that their school wasn't selected, but they still wanted to be a part of the blue collar tour and they still wanted to engage with it. And this one kid showed up with like a whole box of cookies that his mom made that had like our logo on every cookie. And then you go, yeah, that's the impact that we're having. Like, that's why we do this. That's why it's so powerful. You see the paradigm shift. You see these people. Because like, dude, if you travel 8 hours to get and see some of our team and meet our instructors, and dude, we're doing it right. It's so powerful to see that and then document it and share that with the world on social media. And the second meet and greet we did, Pasadena, Texas, at Outlaw Leather, they specialize in welding hoods and leather work. And so like anything you can think of, they do it. It's handmade, American made, awesome American people. It's the most real, authentic thing you're gonna find in the welding and blue collar industry. We did a meet and greet there last year. We did a meet and greet there this year. On point. We set up a welding station. People from all over Texas came to it. Like, some kid booked some train ride and a taxi ride and a bus ride, and like it was hilarious, like hearing a story of like what it took to get there. It was so awesome to be there, have the meet and greet. All those people came. It was really powerful. The Crew 2024 Blue Collar Tour, fire. When we were building this crew, Bo and I switched out and held that position, kind of keep everything rolling and talk to the teachers and keep the schedule on track. And the hype man, that's an insanely powerful person that has to do it right. Quasey, he was like all hands on deck, got some babysitters for his dog, left Gillette on that tour bus, came back to Gillette on that tour bus, start to finish, killed it. Like 2 shows he had that just dialed. The hype man's job is to rally the crowd and bring the energy up and then hand the energy off to the welding instructor, the welder who does the actual welding for the show. I call him Gigi because he looks like a Greek god. He drops everything. He comes out to be our welding instructor, and he's welding in front of these huge crowds. And he's talking back and forth to Quasey, as we're doing these events. And, it's one thing to weld in the field and make a weld knowing that it's going to get x-rayed. It's a total another thing to make a weld in front of this huge crowd of people, knowing that every one of them is going to come there and just pick that thing apart. Like, that's so much pressure. Nolan, not a hitch in his step, never missed a beat, never missed a tie-in. I mean, just like slicked it on there every time. Devin comes out because there's a point in the show where Quasey kind of gets it started. Nolan takes it and welds with him. If the energy starts to drop, then Quasey takes it back, does a giveaway. And this whole time we're switching cameras because we put these big screens up, what they can see. And so that switching is so critical. And even like during some of the giveaways, the first kind of mission is to get the crowd hyped. And we had a switcher in the back where you could like play cricket sounds like, oh, hey, what do you guys think about this? And if they didn't totally just like hoorah, we could hit the cricket button, and Devin and Stone are back there hitting the buttons and making sure the switching happens just like perfect timing. And we had a camera mounted on Nolan's hood. So when he flipped his hood, like we switched to that view, showing it on the screens. And then when he lifted it, immediately going back to show the overall crowd. On point, right? Devin, Stone, both Western Welding Academy graduates, they understand the importance of doing it right and doing it in the right order, and they just killed it. We had a little issue with the mic. We were running a throat mic at first on Nolan, and the audio just wasn't projecting out there. Like, he was having to like hunker and like, really directly, and we're like, we don't want to slow him down with that. We want to get a solution that is just flawless, you know. He can just be him and weld because he's already trying to like make sure the camera on his hood is showing the TIG torches he's welding, and Stone just like jumped in. This is the tool we need, and we did some research and we split off over and found a store that had one, brought it in. Like, because he'd had this prior experience, he just killed it. So they do all this work of switching the cameras and running audio and helping Matt. Matt came out, crushed it on capturing the right shots at the right time, putting it all together in the recap videos. Matt's trying to run like 7 different cameras simultaneously, drone, handheld, big camera, all the GoPro cameras, and there's just a lot going on. And it's like one of those things where I always say it's like production versus quality. When we do an event, production is like Quasey and Nolan, like hyping the crowd, getting them excited, and then Welding for them. And then from the quality perspective, like we've got that whole content team, they have to capture the audio. We can't say it 3 times. We can't do the shot over. And so you gotta be right there on point. Alex is in there, photographer, capturing the right shots, the whole thing. They crushed it, they killed it. It was powerful. Brandon comes from Chicago and goes on all these other tours and he slings merch. He comes in and he is just on point. Like, this is the software we need. Here's how we set the inventory up. This is how I'm gonna do this. Like, he had all this experience slinging merch. Trevin hits me up. He's like, hey man, I'm coming. I wanna be on that tour. We need a guy to really capture content and like run the social media. He's like, well, I've never done that before. But like, he just figured it out. He flies in, meets us. We hand him the social media stuff. Like a day and a half, he's on point. I'm like, man, if he can just get to like 95%, he gets to like 150%. He's just crushing it. I'm like, golly, Trevin, like, what are you doing? This is fire. Getting everything in the right people, in the right time. And Chris, our bus driver, we had this little experience where the bus froze up in the beginning. When he understood that we were like an all hands on deck kind of team, he was like, hey dude, I love this. This is the best tour I've ever been on. We would hit an issue and him and I, or Bo and him, you know, we would make a little deal. This is how we're gonna do this. And he'd be like, yeah. And we never heard from the back office, like not once. I'm so glad that we had all that hardship in the beginning because it got everybody's mindset. Like, we got to see who could dig deep and really figure things out and like step up their game to the level that we needed them to be at. And everybody did that. We just worked it out. It was awesome to like a whole team of people that were doing, you know, that had that mentality. And like, it was so powerful. It's the right people at the right time with the right tools and with the right mentality. You can accomplish anything. That early preparation and then how you handle it in the heat of the moment. Our team was so adaptable. Like Bo Barkley's like working out, swinging a kettlebell, and it's like 20 below. That high level of positivity and energy that Bo brought to this tour and this team, I never seen him have a bad day. Bree came out several trips and helped us coordinate, dealt with little things like food, you know, showers, and making sure that people had what they needed at the right time. And me and Nolan, you know, and Alex, you know, we're like pit stopping these little random gyms and like catching these hour workouts and showers in these podunk little towns. And same thing with Alex. I remember Alex puking in some bushes and I'm like, bro, you good? And he's like, oh yeah, man, like I'm good. Let's hit her. I mean, it was just hilarious. The energy we had on camera, on and off, in the bus, weekends, you know, we went to these Airbnbs. All of it was just fire. The energy was just always great. We got sick at one point, like the whole entire bus. Quasey's like crawled in this little hole of a bed. He didn't move for like 2.5 days, just sweating, and just still had a smile on his face, still fired up, still pulled it off. I don't know, it was just like when I really think through, you know, we brought this team together of just like really driven individuals. I mean, one could probably argue that we're all just like slightly unhinged, but we have a goal and we are gonna hit that no matter what. Then back at the home front, one of the things that we didn't want to do this year is we didn't want to rob resources and instructors. And because one of the things we heard from our students was last year was like, man, I came to this school and now the guy that I, you know, came to learn from, he's not here because he's on this tour. And that's why we really tried to bring in an outside team this year. Everybody just came together. We protected the home front. We went out on the road for like 2.5 months of nonstop, back to back, event after event. Blows my mind what we did. It really does. In 2024 Blue Collar Tour, we went to 28 schools in 15 states. We traveled 16,000 miles, all in 60 days, and we pulled it off flawlessly.